There are habits that may seem harmless at first, but silently erode your reputation, damage relationships, and cause you to lose the respect of those around you. We often think that everyone has bad habits, but some are particularly dangerous because they directly impact how we communicate, interact, and connect with others. If we fail to recognize and change them in time, they can shatter valuable friendships and promising career opportunities in an instant. I am not speaking from mere theory. Throughout my journey of growth, I have made my fair share of mistakes, and from those missteps, I have learned valuable lessons. Today, I want to share real-life stories, experiences that, while sometimes uncomfortable, are incredibly insightful. I believe that by reflecting on and analyzing these habits together, we can learn how to control them and build a better life. We will also explore lessons from Stoicism and ancient philosophy that remains profoundly relevant today. Stoicism is not just about enduring hardship with resilience. It is about cultivating inner peace, integrity, and patience. These principles not only help us regulate our behavior, but also guide us in earning respect and dignity in all aspects of life. So, take a moment, sip a cup of coffee, relax, and let's uncover the toxic habits that may be causing you to lose respect and learn how to eliminate them for a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Habit 1. Speaking ill of others behind their backs. Let's be honest, gossiping is one of the most common habits people fall into, yet few are willing to admit it. I too was once caught in this cycle and had to learn a hard lesson to truly understand its consequences. When I was working at my previous company, I often joined in conversations where colleagues gossiped about others. At the time, I thought it was harmless, even a way to bond with my coworkers. We frequently made jokes about a colleague named Martin. He was quiet, introverted, and had a unique working style. One day, I heard that Martin had made a mistake on a project, and instead of keeping it to myself, I joined in mocking him with the others. The story spread quickly, and before long, Martin found out what had been said. That day, I saw him silently pack up his things and move to a desk in the corner, distancing himself from us. He stopped participating in group discussions, and a while later, he resigned. I tried to justify my actions, but looking back, I realized that my careless words had contributed to someone losing trust in their work environment. From that moment, I understood that gossiping doesn't just hurt others, it also reveals one's own character. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius advise us to focus on improving ourselves rather than judging others. He once said, "Speak little, but when you do, say things of value." Gossiping only breeds distrust and division. When you participate in speaking ill of others, people around you will wonder what you say about them when they're not around. It creates a toxic atmosphere of suspicion and betrayal. Lesson learned: respect others' privacy and dignity. Everyone is fighting battles you know nothing about. Turning someone's personal life into a topic of discussion is not only disrespectful, but also a reflection of your own lack of integrity. Instead, focus on positive and constructive conversations. And remember, if someone is willing to gossip with you, they are just as likely to gossip about you. Habit 2. Unreliability. Let's talk about unreliability, a habit that causes many people to lose the respect of others. Reliability is not just a desirable trait. It is the foundation of all relationships, from friendships and family to work. If people cannot trust your words and actions, they will quickly lose respect for you. When I was younger, I didn't realize the importance of reliability. I frequently arrived late, made promises I didn't keep, and thought it wasn't a big deal. But then, an event made me realize the consequences of this habit. A close friend of mine, Daniel, valued punctuality, and keeping promises. He once invited me to participate in a charity project he was passionate about. I enthusiastically agreed and promised to help. However, on the day of the event, I overslept and decided not to go, thinking that my absence wouldn't make a big difference. I sent a last-minute apology message, believing that was enough. But when I met Daniel afterward, I noticed he was no longer as warm toward me as before. During our conversation, I felt an invisible distance between us. He didn't criticize me, but I knew I had lost his trust. Later, when he organized other projects, I was no longer invited to participate. Stoic philosophers like Seneca once said, "Words and actions must align, for no one can respect a person who constantly breaks their own promises." Reliability is not just about being punctual or keeping major promises. It is about consistency in all actions, responding to messages on time, following through with commitments to friends, and honoring professional obligations. Lesson learned. When you promise to do something, follow through. If you're unsure whether you can commit, it's better not to accept in the first place. Reliability helps maintain relationships and builds credibility and trust. Once lost, reliability is difficult to regain. Let your words hold value, and let your actions prove that you deserve respect. Habit 3. Interrupting others when impatience costs you respect. Interrupting others is a habit many people have without realizing it. When you frequently cut people off mid-sentence, you're sending an implicit message. What I have to say is more important than what you're saying. Not only does this disrupt the flow of conversation, but it also makes the other person feel undervalued and disrespected. I learned this lesson the hard way. When I was working at a startup, I was always eager to share my ideas during meetings. I thought that by jumping in quickly, I was showing enthusiasm and leadership. In reality, I was constantly interrupting my colleagues, especially when they spoke slowly or included details I felt were unnecessary. One day, we had an important discussion about a major project. My colleague, Anna, was presenting her ideas. Midway through her explanation, I interrupted her, thinking I had a better solution. To my surprise, she paused, looked me in the eye, and firmly said, "I wasn't finished speaking." The room fell silent. For the first time, I felt the weight of my actions. I realized I hadn't been truly listening. I had just been waiting for my turn to speak. After the meeting, another colleague pulled me aside and gently pointed out, "If you let people finish their thoughts, you might learn more than you expect." That comment struck me deeply. I realized that interrupting wasn't just a bad habit. It was costing me valuable insights and diminishing my credibility in the eyes of others. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." From that moment on, I made a conscious effort to be patient in conversations. I learned to engage in active listening, not just to respond, but to genuinely understand. And something amazing happened. When I took the time to listen, I found that I learned more, built stronger relationships, and earned the respect of those around me. Lesson learned. Resist the urge to interrupt. Truly listen when someone speaks. Conversations aren't competitions to see who can talk the most. They're opportunities to connect, understand, and grow. Habit 4. Complaining too much when you become a source of negativity. Everyone needs to vent sometimes. Life is full of challenges, and it's natural to express frustration. However, there is a fine line between occasionally letting off steam and constantly complaining about everything. If you're not careful, this habit can turn you into someone others avoid. I used to be stuck in this cycle of negativity without realizing it. When I worked at my previous job, I often felt that my work was dull and stressful. Instead of finding ways to improve my situation, I started complaining to my colleagues every day. At first, they listened, nodded in agreement, and even added their own complaints. This made me think I was connecting with them on a deeper level. But over time, I noticed a shift. Conversations with me became shorter. When I walked into a room, the atmosphere felt awkward. People started avoiding conversations with me, and I didn't understand why. One day, a close colleague, Alex, decided to be honest with me over coffee. "I like you, but you complain all the time." At first, I thought you were just venting, but now it feels like a habit. Do you realize that you rarely talk about anything positive? His words hit me like a ton of bricks. I had never seen myself that way. I thought I was just being honest about how I felt. But the truth was, I had let negativity take over my life, and it was affecting how others saw me. I remembered a quote from the Stoic philosopher, Marcus Aurelius: "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. From that moment on, I decided to change. Instead of complaining about work, I started focusing on what I could control, learning new skills, finding ways to improve processes, or simply accepting that no job is perfect. I also learned to shift conversations from negativity to constructive discussions, where we didn't just talk about problems, but also looked for solutions. And then I noticed another change. People started talking to me more. I felt less stressed, lighter. Most importantly, I realized that when I changed, the world around me changed too. Complaining doesn't make problems disappear. Instead, it drains your energy and pushes people away. When you constantly focus on what's wrong, you create an atmosphere of negativity that repels others rather than drawing them closer. No one enjoys being around someone who always sees the worst in every situation. And over time, this habit can damage your relationships, both personally and professionally. The next time you feel the urge to complain, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this something I can change? If the answer is yes, then take action. Find ways to improve the situation rather than dwelling on what's wrong. If the answer is no, then shift your mindset, accept the things you cannot change, and focus on how you respond to them. Instead of letting frustration control you, channel your energy into something productive. When you replace complaints with a solution-oriented mindset, you don't just improve your own life, you also become someone others respect and enjoy being around. People are naturally drawn to those who bring positivity, inspiration, and resilience into conversations. A positive attitude doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to approach difficulties with a mindset that fosters growth and progress. Ultimately, your perspective shapes your reality. If you constantly look for problems, you will always find them. But if you train yourself to seek solutions, opportunities, and lessons, you'll discover that life becomes much lighter, more fulfilling, and full of possibilities. Respect is not something you demand, it's something you earn through your actions, your words, and the way you carry yourself in everyday life. The habits we've discussed, gossiping, being unreliable, interrupting others, and complaining too much, may seem small in isolation, but together they shape how people perceive and treat you. The good news is that habits can be changed. By being mindful of how we speak about others, honoring our commitments, practicing active listening, and focusing on solutions rather than complaints, we can transform not just our relationships, but also our own sense of self-worth. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we have control over our choices, our reactions, and our character. By consciously improving these areas, we cultivate inner strength, earn the trust and respect of those around us, and ultimately create a life of deeper meaning and fulfillment. So, take a moment to reflect. Which of these habits do you recognize in yourself? What small step can you take today to change them? The journey to becoming a more respected, reliable, and admired person starts with self-awareness and the decision to do better, one choice at a time.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.